Thank you so much. Good morning. My husband's mother died on July 20th, 2.5 weeks ago, and we are in good morning at our house right now. And that really means that we're kind of not completely on point. We're a little bit foggy, we're a little bit distracted, we're a little bit slower than usual, a little bit subdued. But it also means that we're making regular trips up to Illinois now. And we fly to Chicago and then we drive 4 hours west out into the middle of cornfields. Because right now we're dealing with my husband's childhood home, which is a 3-story large farmhouse. And it is stuffed with stuff. My mother-in-law lived there for 47 years, and you can acquire a lot of stuff in 47 years. That's what we know. But it's also been a time of reflection for us. Certainly a time of reflection for my husband. It's hard to lose your mom. And it's been a hard reflection time for me as well. I wasn't particularly close to my mother-in-law, even though she was in my life for 35 years. She was a very quiet, private, introverted person, somewhat closed, didn't really want to connect beyond the level of, how's the weather down there? You might have some of those people in your life too, I don't know. And yet her passing feels significant. There's still a hole. When we go to her house and she's not there, it feels strange. And when we go through her stuff and take some of it, it really feels strange. It feels so weird. But that's what happens when someone leaves the planet. They leave all their stuff. It's really odd for me. You lose this person in your life, but you gain all their stuff. It's surreal, really. And at the same time, when we were up in Illinois for the funeral, one of my clients had a baby. She had a little baby girl, and her name is Sarah Jane. And I thought to myself, funny the way it is, that at the same time that this person in our life left the planet after being here for 89 years, this new person arrived on the planet to be here for maybe another 89 years. And I thought, wow, isn't that something? And I thought about Dave Matthews' song, Funny the Way It Is, because we are grieving and they are rejoicing at their house. It's funny that when one person's house is burning down, another person is in the park having a great picnic lunch. It's funny that one child walks to school 10 miles while another is dropping out. Funny, this life that we live, it's so full of contradictions. And I have to ask, why is that? Why is life designed this way? So contradictory at the same time. One of my favorite explanations is from Ecclesiastes 3, verses 1 through 8 in the Bible. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. To everything. That's quite a statement. To everything there is a season. I like that. I mean, we know about the seasons, right? The 4 seasons. Not Frankie Valli and the 4 seasons. But they had a time, too. There was a season for them in the 60s and the 70s. But no, I'm talking about, just spring and summer and fall and winter. And if you live in Houston, we have 2 seasons, hot and hotter. And in Canada, they only have 2 seasons, too. I did not realize this. Good snowmobiling and slushy snowmobiling. But those are not the only seasons we experience in our life. There's tax season, and I heard someone say once that there are only 2 types of people that have trouble with tax season: men and women. Tax season that Jay Leno describes this way: if you are worried about an IRS audit, then you must avoid what they call a red flag. That's something the IRS is always looking for, a red flag. For example, say you have some money left in your bank account after you've paid your taxes. That's a red flag. And then there's baseball season. Reminds me of the dad who took his 5-year-old to the baseball games, one after the other, and they always stood up and sang the Star-Spangled Banner before the game started. Then one day the father took his little boy to church right before the 4th of July. The congregation stood up and sang the Star-Spangled Banner. Then everybody sat down. There was a moment of quiet until the little boy said, "Play ball." You see, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. Every purpose under heaven. And to me, that means that every purpose is sacred. All life is the good stuff, the bad stuff, the ups, the downs. It's all meant to be. It's all sacred. The trick, of course, is how to be with peace, at peace yourself with it all. I don't think it's possible for us to be happy all the time, because there are some unhappy seasons for sure. But I do think it's possible for us to be at peace all the time, or at least most of the time. This can only happen, though, if we accept life on life's terms, and to think about what are life's terms. That to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. And we take turns going through the seasons. We don't go through them all at the same time. It's sort of like my practice as a psychotherapist. People often ask me, "How do you do your job? Isn't it depressing?" And I'm like, no. But it's because people come to me and they're going through different seasons in their life. Now, if I had brand new clients every single day and every single person was suicidal, it would be depressing. But that's not what happens. People are going through, in any given day, I might work with a couple that's going through a divorce and a couple that's really saving their marriage. I might work with somebody who's grieving the loss of a parent or a child, or I might work with somebody who's trying to get pregnant and they're feeling frustration and angst about that. The whole gamut of all the seasons might happen just one day in my office. It's kind of a microcosm of all the seasons of life. But I do often find that people express feeling like a victim when they're going through a hard season. And that is the wisdom of Ecclesiastes 3. Ecclesiastes is saying you are not a victim. You are only going through a hard season. That's it. And the hope in this story of Ecclesiastes is that what you are going through right now is only a season. It will turn, just like spring turns into summer and summer into fall. It will turn whatever you're going through. I know sometimes it doesn't seem that way. Sometimes it seems like, oh my gosh, the season is going on and on. I'm stuck. I can't get out. But it will turn with time to a new season, a new chapter for you. Remember the hokey pokey. When you do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around, and you start again. It's the same in Ecclesiastes. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season. Turn, turn, turn. So I want to look a moment at the seasons that are listed in Ecclesiastes. Verse 2 is, there's a time to be born and a time to die. Now, we've already done the time to be born. I just want you to know that's over. And the time to die is fast approaching. Because I don't know about you, but for me, every year of my life goes faster. Like, I'm pretty sure yesterday was New Year's Eve, and today it's August. And I'm pretty sure tomorrow is Christmas. So we have to start shopping. It just goes faster and faster. So we have to get that our time on the planet is limited. Our time to die is fast approaching. That means we cannot waste the precious moments we've been given. We have to learn how to embrace all of the seasons, even the hard ones, even the yucky ones. I remember when I was in cancer treatment, I thought to myself, oh, I can't wait to get my life back, because I was really exhausted in the chemo process. And then it occurred to me, hey, this is your life. Don't waste this moment, this season of your life. Verse 2, the second part is that there's a time to plant and a time to sow. Every farmer knows this. For example, if you do live in Illinois with the cornfields, you can't plant your corn in August. You plant in April. Maybe the first week of May, but definitely not August, because the growing season would be too short before the freeze came. There would be no corn. So there's no cheating on this. You've got to plant early enough in order to sow. So if you are looking for a harvest in your life, you've got to plant in order to sow. It's surprising to me sometimes we as humans so often don't actually plant the seeds, and then we're disappointed because there's no harvest to sow. I'm here to tell you, it doesn't work that way. You have to actually do the work of planting the seeds, preparing, watering, taking care of the seeds to get a harvest. You can't just talk the talk. You got to actually walk the walk and plant the seeds that you need to plant. Verse 3, a time to kill and a time to heal. Now I have to say this one was harder for me. It's like a time to kill. Oh, yeah, no, I'm a pacifist. I don't even believe in violence. How is there a time to kill? So I thought about it and I thought, well, you know, when there is a wasp that flies in my house, or one of those humongo, I don't know what they're called. They're those big, large size, Texas-sized cockroaches that come in your house. You know about those, right? Okay, if you're new in town, you might not know about them, or if you're listening on the online, a version of this. But when my husband and I first moved here from Mexico City, we came home one day and one of those humongo bugs was in our house. They call them palmetto bugs. And we were shocked. We wondered, what is that? And then we crept over to it and it flew. And we were totally surprised. And we got the fly swatter. We were able to get it down and then smush it. And then my husband got a ruler and laid it by it. It's true. And we took a picture because we knew nobody back home would believe this. They were thinking we moved to the rainforest or something. But they are here. We have adjusted. They live here in Houston. And I tell you, when they come in my house, I apologize to them. But I do kill them. A time to kill. But more seriously, sometimes when somebody is standing in front of a crowd with a semi-automatic weapon shooting at the crowd, unfortunately, it's a time to sacrifice one to save the many. A time to kill. But there's also a time to heal. Our family is definitely in the healing process right now after a major loss. And we so appreciate all the love and support that we've received here from the fellowship, including food. Now, I'm not sure how food and support when somebody dies got linked together, but that's what happens. When someone dies, we bring food, right? It's so beautiful. We have a feast at our house because people have brought us food to nourish our soul and help us through this season of our life. For this we are grateful. The second part of verse 3 tells us a time to tear down and a time to build up. Reminds me of the witches in Macbeth who said, double, double toil and trouble. Because sometimes that's how life feels. double the toil. Work harder, working, tearing down, building up, tearing down, building up. I heard of a man who was in a concentration camp during World War II, and his job was to build a brick wall, and he would work on it, and then the guards would knock it down, and then they'd tell him to do it again, and he'd build it, and they would knock it down. But instead of getting discouraged, this man began to feel the rhythm of building, tearing down, building, tearing down. It was like breathing in and out, and he connected to the life force from the building and tearing down. Then he became aware that he had some strange connection with the guards because they were very important in the breathing that was going on. And so that's how he dealt with a very difficult season in his life. Funny the way it is, isn't it? Verse 4, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance. The author Isabel Allende lost a daughter in 1994, and she says, "Our lives are infected with the fear of suffering. But with that fear, we also lose out on the joy as well." You see, we have to not be afraid of the weeping, not be afraid of the mourning or the suffering. They must be celebrated as a season of our life as well. Those kind of seasons deepen our souls. They're the ones that give us compassion for other people. They're the ones that connect our hearts with other people. We need to celebrate the hard seasons as well, because they make the laughing and the dancing seasons that follow all the more sweeter. Verse 5, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. I'm reading Diane Ream's book right now on my own. In it, she talks about the grieving season that she's in after losing her husband, John, and they were married 54 years. So she talks about her grieving season, and she wonders about her next season. She says, "The beginning of my 9th decade draws near. I may be healthy and energetic now, but who can know what the future will bring? That, for me, is both the challenge and the excitement." At 78, all Diane Ream knows right now is she has a contract with NPR to do her 2-hour broadcast show till the end of this year. And then after that, she doesn't know. She doesn't know if she'll sign again or if she won't. She doesn't know if it will be a time of gathering stones or a time of letting go of them. She's waiting because she can't see yet what her next season is. And sometimes we have to wait too. We have to sit in the not knowing what the next step is. And that's hard. That's a hard season to be in for sure. So if you're in the place of not knowing, I would just say honor it. Honor that place. And it too will turn and you will know the next season. Verse 6, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away. What I've noticed at my mother-in-law's house is every single thing in there has to be a decision made about it. Are we going to keep it? Are we going to give it away? Or are we going to throw it away? Every single thing. And I will tell you right now, we are a little bit in the season of keeping and a lot of it in the season of giving away and throwing away as well. Verse 7, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent, and a time to speak. I know in this unusual presidential race that we're in right now, I find myself a lot in the time of being silent in order to honor that everyone in America gets to vote the way they would like to vote. And I also find myself in a time of speaking up, pushing myself to make sure that I'm standing strong for what I believe and being willing to share that, because both are valuable. I think we're all entering into a time of speaking up and speaking with our votes. So I encourage everyone to vote in November. Verse 8, a time to love and a time to hate. Again, that was a hard one for me. A time to hate. When I think in terms of people, because I'm a Unitarian Universalist who believes that everybody has inherent worth and dignity, everybody, no exceptions, I can't really get to the hate part. But when I think of things or concepts, I'm aware that I do hate. I hate racism, and I hate sexism, and I hate homophobia, and I hate things where people are intolerant of different religions. And I also hate war, which is the second half of the verse 8, a time for war and a time for peace. I think it is time for us to go to war against racism, sexism, homophobia, religious intolerance, and even a war against war. I think it's time for us to lay down our sword and shield down by the riverside where we ain't gonna study war no more. Done. It's time. It's time for peace. I swear it's not too late. Please join me this season of life, and pray for peace. Walk for peace. Stand for peace. Be an agent of peace. We as Unitarian Universalists stand on the side of love. We stand on the side of justice. And we need to stand on the side of peace. May this be your season, that you can get at peace with all the seasons of your life, and you can stand for peace because internally you feel peaceful. Even though life is complicated and is full of many seasons, ups and downs, joyful ones, mournful ones, all have a time and purpose. All have a space to be here on the planet. May you be one with all of them. Blessed be, and amen.